So Naruto has an extensive roster of villains. I think we can all agree on that. Villains that are really memorable to the series and some that blur the line and have a gray area to them, such as Itachi, Pain, and Obito. And of course, there are some villains that are just villains like through and through, such as Hidan, Kakazu, and Deidara. But there's one villain in Naruto that is arguably the most memorable, which is Madara. Now, even though Kaguya and even to some extent Sasuke were the final villains of Naruto, I think we can all agree, like majority of the fandom can agree, that Madara was hailed as the main villain. Of course, I've actually seen some people that prefer that to Obito, since Obito was the man who pretty much kind of got everything started, at least when it comes to Naruto's generation specifically. But in any case, I mean, I digress. But something that I think most people can notice when watching or hearing Madara is that Madara really loves himself. And I mean that to say that Madara, for the most part, kind of puts himself on a pretty high pedestal when it comes to him and his abilities. Now, that's not to say that Madara's bark doesn't come with a bite, because as we've seen, it obviously does. I mean, the first thing the man did when revived with Edo Tensei was literally take out an entire army just to stretch. But in the amount of screen time that he has, Madara does, for the most part, spend some of the time when in conversation kind of bragging about himself or his abilities in some kind of way. Again, not to say that it's not earned or warranted, and it's not as if Madara is presumptuous or pretentious when he's speaking, but that's the point, is he does brag about himself. And in fact, the only person he does brag about more than himself to an extent is Hashirama. And really, when he brags about Hashirama, while I'm sure Madara does respect Hashirama, whenever he brags about Hashirama specifically, it's usually to brag about himself by extension. For example, when he says things like, oh, Hashirama can do this, Hashirama can do that, Hashirama could heal himself without weaving any signs, and every jutsu Hashirama attempted, he was in a class of his own, stuff like that. And Madara proceeds to say stuff like, and I fought him for 24 hours straight. He was the only one who could beat me, and he's no longer here. Again, I kind of digress, but you get the point, and is that Madara rarely ever brags about anybody else but himself. But for me, what I like about Madara is that despite the high pedestal he puts himself on, there have been a couple times where he gives credit where credit is due. So today, that's what we're going to explore. You know, we're going to take a break from Verse Battle videos for this week and explore the 10 times that Madara was actually a pretty chill guy, or more specifically, when he actually dished out some compliments to some people when fighting them. Now, some of these are going to be minor, like they're going to be minor compliments to some people that may not even qualify as a full entry, but either way, I still like these compliments that he does dish out, whether it's the compliment itself or who they are applying to. Whatever, this is just be my own list. If you agree or disagree, that's fine. Let me know in the comments below. If you haven't yet, please like the video and please subscribe to the channel, guys. It really helps me out, puts the video out in the algorithm. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, click the bell for more notifications. And again, subscribe to see more videos like this. But again, with all that out of the way, let's go and get started. So number 10 and number 9 could honestly be placed into one category or one entry because it kind of comes back to back. But it does focus on 2 individuals per entry. So at number 10, I have Madara complimenting both the Raikage and Mei about their individual attacks. To quote him, he says, lightning style teleportation and lava style Kekkei Genkai, huh? Impressive attacks. Now, in the anime, specifically the dub translation, it may or may not sound like he's being sarcastic or maybe even condescending a little bit, but I actually think he's being genuine, especially when you're reading it in the manga or hearing it in the Japanese anime. I think he is actually being genuine when he compliments the Raikage and Mei. And again, this entry is pretty minor, like it's not that big a deal, but I will say it's actually kind of impressive when you consider that just a few panels before this, Madara was literally making a joke out of Mei's lava style, saying stuff like this jutsu isn't even worth absorbing, and then proceeds to actually be like, oh, you know what? This is actually pretty impressive. The 9th entry is just a few panels following where Gaara and Onoki combine their stone golem and sand shield to make an extra defense. Even Madara was like a 2-fold defense wall of sand and stone, huh? That's also pretty quite impressive. As I said before, this entry and the entry prior, they're pretty minor. They're not that big of a deal, but for this one specifically, Gaara is a fan favorite and one of my favorite characters. So to hear Madara brag about him even in the slightest is pretty cool. Plus, it's also kind of cool to see Onoki and Gaara still play off of each other because ever since the 5 Hokage Summit, they've kind of been at odds with one another, and now they're starting to like really have good synergy between them, and the amount of respect they have for each other. It's just cool to see them both working together specifically. So with Madara complimenting them both at the same time, it kind of just adds to that, at least for me. The 8th entry is also kind of minor, but it does involve a main character, so I might as well just go ahead and say it. But it's right after Madara gets revived with the Rinne rebirth, and Sasuke tries to attack him, and he has like the sword that's through his arm. But he does kind of compliment Sasuke's moves through the use of his Sharingan, and compliments his Sharingan specifically. He's like, oh, you know what? Your eyes actually might be good use for me right now, at least until I get my Rinnegan back. And then proceeds to say that killing Sasuke would just be such a waste that he should join forces with him. So he's pretty much like complimenting Sasuke through his Sharingan and visual prowess and his movements and just overall his combat ability as a way of wanting him to join forces. So I think that's pretty cool in and of itself. The 7th entry is, again, kind of minor, but it involves a main character, so I really like it. But it's right when Madara summons the Geto statue in front of Minato and Kakashi tries to use Kamui to get rid of the Geto statue, but only gets its arm. And then right after it's summoned in front of Madara, Madara notices that the arm is gone and proceeds to compliment whoever used that ability on it. Says, well, someone's got impressive eyes over there on the other side. Which is funny in a way, because as soon as he saw the arm was gone, he immediately suspected that it was an ocular jutsu that managed to do it. So the fact that he saw it and immediately was like, oh, someone's got nice eyes over there. I don't know. And besides, it's Kakashi, so yeah, I'm definitely putting it on this list. The 6th entry comes later after Madara already absorbed the Jubi and is fighting Sage of the Six Paths Naruto and Rinnegan Sasuke. And no, okay, so they fight in a brief skirmish, and I'm sure Madara recognizes Naruto as a threat. But he fights them both and says in his mind that, oh, that's Sasuke Uchiha. He awakened the straight pattern Choco Tomoe Sharingan just like mine. He's got calm analytical skills, nice judgment, a calm composure, and then proceeds to try to steal his eye, implying that he needs to get rid of Sasuke first. Which makes sense. I mean, honestly, this is often the case, like when Jigen fights them both in Boruto and compliments on Sasuke about how he's the one he needs to get rid of first, specifically due to Sasuke's strategic mind and calm composure. So yeah, hearing it from Madara again is pretty cool. So the top 5 were really tough for me to like place. Aside from number 1, I'm taking number 1 to the grave, but the other 4, it was really tough. It just depends on like who you feel like who you like more about who he's giving the compliment to. But at number 5, I have Madara retracting his statement about Tsunade being a weak woman. I mean, especially when you watch it in the dubbed. I mean, maybe just the way the voice actor delivers the lines, but he is just going to town on Tsunade, like verbally tearing her down, like, and just saying like she's pretty much like a weak woman. Weakness disgusts me of any kind, and a weak sense you disgust me even more. And then she proceeds to just, let her fighting do all the talking and makes Madara retract a statement saying like, oh, you're certainly not a weak woman. And full disclosure, Tsunade is one of my favorite characters, like 100%. She's definitely in there in contention with my favorite Kage or favorite Hokage specifically. And so to see like Madara, or to hear Madara be able to just be like, okay, like you definitely are worthy to bear the name Senju, or, that's kind of what he's saying. Like, you're certainly not a weak woman, and make him retract his statement earlier. It was cool. It was really cool to hear that, and also to see Tsunade just go to town. The 4th entry, it's a very minor comment, but it's because of who it's about and what it means to the overall impact of the story, and the 4th war specifically. But it's right after Itachi releases the Edo Tensei, and all the reanimation are, disappearing. And Onoki's like, the rest of the 5 Kage are looking at Madara as he's getting ready to disappear. And Madara makes like an offhanded comment, well, it appears you still have able shinobi on your side. And of course, he's referring to Itachi, which is awesome, man. Itachi's the GOAT for being able to stop the reanimation jutsu and nearly end the war. I really like this entry because it's also kind of backed up with Onoki following, saying that, whoever did it is a hero who saved the entire shinobi world. And to see Itachi get that recognition both as a fighter and as a character, it's awesome. So again, I know Onoki kind of made it, in this entry, but Madara saying that was also pretty cool. Okay, so number 3, I realize that, you know, when hearing it at first might seem weird, and you'll probably think I'm crazy, but it's right after or right as the 5 Kage are about to seal Madara. Like, they work together collectively with all their jutsu, all they can do, you know, in this last ditch plan to seal Madara, and it almost worked, you know, had it not been for the perfect Susanoo. But and Onuki starts saying, like, do you understand now? Like, this is the power of the 5 Kage. And Madara takes a look at him. He's like, you know what? Indeed, like, this is truly worthy of those who bear the name Kage. And again, once he whipped out that perfect Susanoo, it was over. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, the following line, at least in the dub, kind of sold it more, where he's like,
even the 5 Kage are nothing compared to the power that I wield.
3 is because the 5 Kage have been built up, you know, since the 5 Kage, you know, as the strongest shinobi in the world. So to see them fight together for the first time and see what they were actually capable of doing against Madara, however much he was just kind of playing around, and to see them almost seal him and get that line from him, I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool. You know, it's him recognizing that, oh, the Kage of today are, you know, actually packing something. Even though he called them children, it just, to me, I feel like that's almost a retracting statement, or it's making him retract his statement from earlier in some kind of way. So I really like this entry. I like his line in that, however brief or minor it was. Y'all can think I'm crazy if you want, but I really like it. Number 2 comes earlier than that, before the 5 Kage actually start fighting Madara, when he is kind of fighting against the 4th division and like specifically Naruto. And Naruto, you know, uses the Rasen Shuriken or whatever, and Kabuto says that, you know, oh, that's the 9 Tails Jinchuriki, you know, Naruto Uzumaki. And Madara is like, oh, him? Oh, that's just, he attacked me earlier, he's just a brat. And then Kabuto is like, yeah, maybe, but he is actually quite the shinobi. And later on, just a few panels later, Naruto pulls off feats that make Madara being like, oh, you know what? You're right. He's actually quite an impressive shinobi. And Kabuto's just like, right? And the reason why I like this and why it's so high on this list is because Naruto, if you're an OG Naruto fan, you've been watching from day one, you know how long it's taken Naruto to get to this point, you know? And to be honest, it might even be on this entry half because of Kabuto's line too, because both Madara just in this entry of, you know, a few seconds prior, and Kabuto later on in part 1 were both making a joke out of Naruto and making him seem like he's really not that impressive. And then to hear Kabuto being like, oh no, he's an impressive shinobi, he's packing something, you don't want to take him lightly. And for Madara to, you know, pretty much agree. And in the dubbed, in the anime and the dubbed, it's actually better, because when he says it in the dubbed, Madara's actually smiling, as if to maybe infer that, oh, he's excited about the challenge that Naruto might present. So for Naruto to get that recognition from 2 people who were making him out to be a joke initially, see him as an actual threat, you know, or someone who can at least provide a challenge, and specifically from Madara's point of view, it was really cool. You know, it proves how much, you know, growth Naruto has had to just get that line from Madara even within a few minutes of seeing him. And that was a clone too, which makes it even better. So at number 1, I really doubt I need to go too much into this entry, but I'm sure everyone was going to agree. But the best compliment that Madara ever dished out was to Guy himself. Might Guy, the beast of the village, the master of taijutsu. Madara, as soon as he took a look at Might Guy charging up the Night Guy, took one look at him and says,
I'll acknowledge this chakra of yours. Of all those who have fought me over the years, there's no one who surpasses your taijutsu. I, Madara, declare that you are the strongest of them all.
Yeah, I think I can rest my case.